Hi, this is Mark Waid, writer of Superman Birthright, and you're listening to Krypton Report.
Up in the sky, look! It's a bird! It's a plane! It's the Krypton Report!
Host Tyler, and welcome to Krypton Report, a podcast dedicated to all things Superman, Supergirl. We're going to look at the Supergirl TV series as well as the Krypton TV series, anything that has to do with the characters in their world. Comics, movies, TV shows. We will talk about everything and anything. We are part of the Southgate Media Group podcasting network. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, at Krypton Report. You can also email us at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to go over to iTunes, Apple Podcast, please leave us a review to help us get better. You can find me personal at JTYPatrick on Twitter and everything else. You can buy a Krypton Report t-shirt at tpublic.com. Check it out. They have all sizes, colors, styles of shirts. Just go to tpublic.com and search Krypton Report, and you'll see our logo. And every time you buy a shirt, it helps support other podcasts from southgatemedia.com. Thank you. Enjoy the show.
Hey, who was the Superman movie?
James, our son, likes you.
Well, thank you, bud.
Yeah, if he didn't, we'd have to just end this friendship right now. Like, it would just be over.
Right.
All right, you ready?
Chop. Done. Yep.
Go!
Welcome to the Krypton Report.
What's the Krypton Report?
We have a very special episode.
It's also
Yeah. So it's a full house tonight.
a full house tonight.
We have Solomon.
We have Simon.
We have Junia.
We have Serena.
We have me. And we have James.
Yes, yeah.
Hello.
So tonight's episode, whatever it's going to end up being, is actually an episode that James and I have been wanting to record for a while. And it was actually supposed to be our Father's Day episode. And it was going to be for Superman Day, which was almost a month away. But then we had the death of a family member, and then just scheduling kind of threw us off. But here we are. So what we're going to do today, this is our 5-year look back at Man of Steel. We're going to do a commentary. And this is a snapshot into the life of me. So we have everybody here.
Hey, we didn't miss the 5-year anniversary too much.
No, we didn't. I mean, we're in July. It came out. I mean, if we would have waited another week, we would have been like the 5-year anniversary of being announced that the sequel is going to have Batman in it. So here's my question to you, James. Take me back 5 years in the world of James and what was going on waiting for this movie. Like, the build-up, your first time seeing it. Tell us your tale.
Okay, well, the moment I heard about the movie, I was absolutely excited. They announced Zack Snyder as the director, and I just lit the lid, coming off of Snyder, coming off of 300 and Watchmen. And, I just thought that his visuals for Superman was going to be unparalleled.
And I'm going to jump in there.
And then...
And I'm going to say yes.
Uh-huh.
And the one Snyder thing I'm a little sad about with this movie, and we'll talk more about it as it goes on, is one of my favorite little scenes in Watchmen is when Night Owl and Silk Spectre break into the jail to get Rorschach, and they're going down the hall fighting, and it's that slow-mo. There's no slow-mo Snyder in this movie. And I was expecting...
No, actually, Well, they've done slow-mo for Superman in the past where everything freezes around him. So, having the sped up camera movements and things like that.
Daddy.
People didn't like that they had a hard time seeing it, but it's definitely a unique take on how fast they move and just how lethal they can be.
And 5 years ago, at this time, Junia and I had moved around, done some things, and it was actually a time a week before this movie came out, and then it wasn't even out a week when we moved to North Carolina. And I remember the first image when it was released, and it was the bank vault. And just the anticipation. It was supposed to come out in December of 12. And then it was pushed back to summer because The Dark Knight Rises made so much money. And I remember my beautiful, amazing wife, Junia, coming home from work one night, and she had stopped at Hot Topic and got me the exclusive Man of Steel shirt that I had, and then I would still have if the dog hadn't ripped it. Now it's a patch on my Superman cape wall.
Sorry.
Oh, no.
So, I was excited. Like, this movie was, it was in the same vein as the excitement that I had felt for when Superman Returns was coming. And except this time, I was more excited because it was Zack Snyder. And I was excited because I got to share it with Junia. And we went opening night.
We did.
I was dressed as Superman. We went with her mom and my friend. Yes. As we sit in the cave of solitude.
Yep.
Full of Superman and DC stuff. So.
Oh yeah, I had my advance tickets and saw this opening night as well.
I will admit, I did get a little mad at my wife at one point.
Uh-oh. What did I do now?
It was that one morning I tried to go, and I can't remember all the details, but it was that, remember when they did that Walmart exclusive, where they were selling those pass tickets to get in, like, a showing that was, like, a couple of hours earlier or something?
Oh, yeah.
And, like, something happened where you were supposed
Walmart
to
exclusive. I had that.
And we couldn't get them, and I was frustrated, but she brought home a Man of Steel, like, plastic cup that I still have and everything. And it was all good. Like, we got our tickets for opening night and everything. It worked out. But you ready to jump into this movie?
I am.
Okay, so we're watching it on a PlayStation 3 on Blu-ray. That's a little deep into the period.
I am watching it on my Blu-ray player.
And I believe we're at like
on Blu-ray since it actually loaded up today.
I think we're at like 1 second in because I hit play to hit pause and it started. So we might be like a second or something off from each other. But are you ready? We'll try this?
Yes.
1. We're going to go on 4. Okay?
What?
This ain't a weapon.
Are we going on 3 or are we going on play?
We're going on play. 1.
Okay.
2, 3, play. All right. We have the WB logo. What do you got?
WB logo.
Okay. I think we'll be okay. I think.
Need to turn my TV down just a little bit.
Yeah, we're going to turn ours down as well. Where's the remote? Oh, I have it. So, I found it interesting. Like, this movie, first of all, from a production point of view, is really interesting from the fact that it's Legendary Pictures and Syncope, however you want to pronounce it, which is Christopher Nolan's production company. And so right now it kind of like it sets the table that it's different because Legendary Pictures has produced all the Dark Knight films, and they even produced Superman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
And there we have her face. It's like a very interesting opening shot.
Yeah, I mean, the movie opens up at literally the beginning of Kal-El's life, and I thought that was, very fitting. I mean, his life starts on Krypton, but, it takes place on Earth.
Which, I didn't think about it when I first saw it, like, the idea of, like, the movie opening up with Kal-El being, like, coming into the world. I mean, it definitely was an interesting kind of, like, scene, because we've never actually seen, really, the birth of Superman before.
Yeah. Well, it's also more impactful to see the birth right away for the fact that he is the first natural birth on the planet in centuries that it makes his birth special. And it's the very beginning of his life.
And I agree. This is an argument that I've always had, like, why I'm not a huge fan of the John Byrne idea about him being born on Earth. Was, as a parent myself, and I know Junia can agree with me here, hey, there's death. It's supernatural. The idea of holding my child in my hands and actually having that moment of bond and then having to turn around and give my child up.
Yeah. You know what I absolutely love about this whole first scene? I really feel like this is the first time that we get an in-depth look of what Krypton, the world, is supposed to look like. I love it. Like the creatures, all the way down to the colorization. It's neat.
I agree. And why did it take me, like, a lot of watches to realize that his armor in the entire movie is CG for General Zod?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know that there were scenes, at least, of Russell, or behind the scenes shots of Russell Crowe in some armor, but the majority of it during action pieces and most of the movement is actually all CG. So I don't know if Shannon had any armor at all at any point, or if in 100% it was all CG.
Oh, it was 100% all CG. I mean, his black.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've seen him in the motion capture suit, and that's where a lot of it had come from. I just didn't know if, like, any dialogue scenes like this or anything, if he had some at one point or another. Because I could imagine that stuff would be hard to move around in. It looks pretty bulky. And it's not actually alien technology.
I mean, I like Jor-El fighting right here, but I've always had a problem with the fact that it's a class system, and he's a scientist, and Zod and his peeps are supposed to be bred warriors, and somehow the scientist is take him out. Like,
Well, but if you think about it, he's kind of prepared himself for this moment. Do you know what I mean? You see that he's prepped himself to, make sure that he can defend his family because he knew he was doing something that wasn't going to be agreed with. You know what I mean?
yes.
Well, and absolutely. I mean, if their gestation period for babies is similar to humans, closer to a year or whatever, I mean, they had to have at least had the preparations in mind for, at least a year and a half or more, however long they have believed in the failings of Krypton.
Right.
So yeah, definitely for quite a while.
I like Jor-El.
And I want Haraka. I would like fly him to work and stuff.
Parking like Ace Haraka.
Like I want a 4-winged dragon, 6-winged dragon.
I would not be against that.
I'm lucky.
I like that we see Jor-El is wearing, that second skin style suit. That basically...
And is apparently an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Krypton might have their own Olympics.
I wonder if, like, everybody in Krypton is supposed to be physically fit. Like, if that's, like, the way that their society functions, like, they all have to be, you know what I mean? Like, trained a certain way as they're growing up.
Yeah.
Since they do have such...
Well,
Go ahead.
Well, from the very beginning, Krypton was described as a very harsh planet, and that's one of the things that they tried to show here is the harsh planet, the creatures, very rough terrain and things like that, and they do have a physical makeup stronger than say your average. So when they actually say that when they say they're human and stuff, like they're still more dense and stronger than an average person.
Yeah.
I like that his S is his hope symbol. His crest is like black on the dark blue, just like that for something different yet similar.
That's cool.
Ah, Haraka.
Yep.
I wonder if the reason the Codex looks almost like a skull was going to come to play in like a later draft or something more, or with a sequel. And we won't like go into more detail about that, but the Codex does look a lot like a skull.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of interesting if, I don't know, think about Red Sun, the twist at the end of Red Sun was something like that.
Yeah.
I do love this.
Yeah.
The parents talking about sending him to this planet and what he'll be, and the difference between the mother's thought and the father's thought.
Yeah, she shows that she can't, that it's hard to get to say goodbye. And he looks more reserved, that he's come to terms with it already. Not that it's, I'm sure, not difficult. I couldn't imagine having to send my baby off and never being able to know what would happen.
I couldn't either. Like when she's talking about not
Which is why the scene in Birthright where he actually gets to see his parents at the end is one of my favorite Superman panels.
I agree.
Where he finally gets to see his parents, and they actually at the end of their lives, they know that their son has made it and has grown up. I mean, that would be so relieving to be. Imagine having to do it, but yes, actually having that relief was an amazing thought and an amazing drawing.
Gosh, the sadness in Russell Crowe's eyes right there. I mean, I know he's got like sad eyes in general, but like really he emoted very well just now when he's looking at Cal.
He's pushing through.
He's got a new house.
That's what you do as a parent, you know what I mean?
And there's the really cool, instead of having a crystal, we have metal. It's kind of like he's just putting his head down and doing what he has to, and not thinking about what he's doing. as the only way to make it through.
Well, but he had this one moment in his eyes where it was like a goodbye, you know. Other than this. Yeah, I don't know if I could ever do this.
That actress is great. I don't have her name in front of me, but her time as Laura, being able to cry and yeah, I mean they put a lot of heart into that scene. Those two actors.
Yeah, she's great.
So I can honestly say that she's my favorite Laura. Like nobody else even comes close. So hands down, she wins.
What's up, Daddy?
He's right there, buddy. And then right here, Russell Crowe's complete armor is CG.
That is depressing. You know me, I'm all about practical. You know what I mean?
I know.
Like having some of these pieces actually tangible to me is really special. But
I'm friends with that guy on Facebook.
Citron?
Yep.
Me too.
Thanks, Richard.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you. Make us feel special for being our friend on Facebook.
the gold is so interesting.
Michael Shannon is just amazing.
Oh my god, yes.
His eyes scare me.
He's an awesome Zod.
Yes. He was a casting of, and I thought, who?
That's all.
That's Zod. But he's a great actor.
I remember at one time they talked about Viggo Mortensen, and I was like, oh, cool. And they said Michael Shannon, and I was like, who? And then I watched stuff with Michael Shannon, and I was like, interesting. And I watched this, and I was like, yeah. I will have to say he is now my second favorite Zod.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see that or even agree with that, but I definitely go back and forth between the two.
I like this scene of like Jor-El winning. I kind of wish Zod would have played it off a little bit more like he was being playful. Like letting Jor-El think he had the upper hand. But that's just little nitpicky things, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, that's more time on Krypton, which, I mean, I could watch an entire movie of this Krypton easily.
Oh, yeah. I would love
and,
that.
You know, we enjoyed the show. We enjoyed the first season a lot, so.
Had Man of Steel gotten a proper sequel, I think it would be kind of neat to go back and have some flashback scenes of Zod, Jor-El, and Leia. I thought this was an interesting move to have Zod kill Jor-El out of anger. Just pure anger.
Well, you know, I mean, he's thinking at that point, like, that's the few people, like, literally just taking off out of here. And that's his goal, his people.
I do like this is the first time I've ever seen Jor-El's name split up, where she calls him Jor. And I thought, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. And like we've talked before, like, no one ever uses Zod's first name. They always just use his last name.
I like their ships, how they designed them like bugs.
Yes.
They have multiple direction, you know, they can fly all over the place. It's not just like straight like planes. They have a lot of maneuverability.
It makes sense for, fantastical science.
I mean, even down to the shape.
He's ready to kill me. He's looking like, Tyler, I'm going to jack you up.
That's one thing about Michael Shannon. He's got the eyes.
He does. I like that shot of the ship, and there's Death again in his really sweet Kryptonian armor. I like these suits. And then there's Shannon giving his speech.
I like the Kryptonian stuff, how it kind of has a slight chainmail detail to it.
I love this part, this speech of Zod's. It's so intimidating and creepy.
Yeah. Well, first year this came out, I probably watched it on easily a weekly basis. So for the first few months, the first year I saw this movie, probably dozens of times, at least 20 times. And, I have to revisit it at least every 3-4 months, 6 months at the latest, I think.
Yep.
I just have to say, I love how right off the bat with Zod's character, you see the passion that he has for what he believes in. Right off the bat.
Yes.
It's in your face.
He's mad, like he said heresy to Jor-El and them for what they did with Cal. And let's see, how many times did you see this in theaters, James?
Sadly, I only got to see it once in the theater. And I wanted to see it at least 3 more times.
We saw it 2.5, but we were in the middle of it and we had to leave because Junia's mom needed us. She had an emergency. And then, and that was cool. I didn't care. And then when we moved to North Carolina, my wife surprised me with taking me to the movies to see it. I have a good wife.
I'm kind of cool sometimes.
Yeah, just sometimes. Most of the time. I like Lara's outfit here. Like her Kryptonian suit that she had in the last scene. And I think it is, she's still wearing it here where it has the family crest. It's really small at the top. This is just beautiful.
Put the lids on.
Yeah. I mean, what are you going to do, right now? You seriously do what she's doing. Just wait on the inevitable.
And the music's so beautifully sad right here.
Oh, the score in this movie is amazing.
I mean, Zimmer had a big hole to fill, of something iconic, and this probably is my favorite Hans Zimmer score. And then there's the planet. It just goes.
Without a doubt. Yeah, the implosion is awesome. You can see it collapsing in on itself before the explosion from the center.
And then I like how Cal shows up behind Saturn.
Yeah. I did enjoy the fact that they used that he didn't spend 3 years crossing 28 known galaxies.
The Phantom Drive brought him instantaneously.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
This is cool.
He couldn't, as a child, he's still weak and susceptible, he couldn't survive alone in the ship for 3 years. You know what I mean? A little more believable, but yeah, he gets there.
Yep. And I like that edit of the ship going to crash and then all of a sudden it cuts to this and we're like, what?
See, I kind of wish, though, when you had that edit of the crash, that it was almost even more forward on the ship. That way you didn't even realize what was crashing at first.
Ooh.
And then it backed up into the ship.
Oh, like it was the ship from the point of view into a wave?
Yeah.
So you think it's going to crash into the field, but really what you experience is the ship crashing into water.
Exactly.
and then like you said, it pulls back. This is why I keep her around.
I always enjoyed that. I always enjoyed that scene there, where the cage almost falls on him, because, we watching know nothing's going to happen to him, and, he can't let them see that either. But the fact that the guy runs at him, like, he had to make that conscious decision to let him tackle him. Otherwise, he'd have ran into a wall.
Exactly.
He would have ran into a freaking. Yeah.
I love this. I love they're gonna die, and he just doesn't hesitate.
Oh yeah, at that point. Yep. And then just accordions the door right off the hinges, and
they're like looking at him
on fire,
and he's just covered in fire. They're like, okay,
right? Like, I'll go with this guy standing there on fire. All right,
he's on fire
here.
He's all right. I remember seeing a behind the scenes image from this shot, like and being so excited. Like, I tried to follow everything I could about this movie. I remember I took Junia to the movies to see The Immortals, just because it had Henry Cavill in it. And I was like, this guy's going to be Superman. I got to see what he can do. And I remember watching The Immortals and thinking, okay, I can see it.
And then this shot here, with his shirt off, just a friggin' specimen.
Yes.
Like, he spent tons of time in the gym training. I mean, that's one of my favorite special features is the training special features. Cause that's what I do. It's what I'm into. So
that's the difference between me and James. He watches the special features to watch Henry training, take it. I watch it to watch Zach direct and how he did all this stuff. So James and I definitely maximize the special features on this.
Yes. Well, I do watch the other special features. I used to watch them a lot more when I was younger, but now in this age of superhero films and things like that, I mean, I just enjoy watching it. On Wonder Woman, the Amazons training.
Yes.
All the women athletes that they pulled in to be Amazons, and the dedication that the actresses put into becoming as fit as they were. That's definitely some of my favorite special features these days.
I agree. It is one of the things I think sometimes gets overlooked, but it's very important.
I'm sorry, but I'd be homeschooling my kid. I know as terrible as that may sound, he won't be able to interact with kids as much, but I'd totally homeschool him.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be you don't want him to already feel like an outcast, that if you homeschool him, it just perpetuates that he's a weird kid.
But at the same time.
Yeah, I know. I love it. His parents won't even let him play with other kids. He's a crybaby. It's so, this was heartbreaking. Especially watching it now as a parent, when she's just talking to him. I mean, I love it. I love the casting of her as Martha.
I didn't know.
Oh, Diane Lee.
Yeah.
Because she's amazing. She's at that perfect age where you can make her look younger or make her look older, depending on what the scene calls for. It doesn't
and
take.
She is still, and when they make her older, she still looks amazing.
She holds up.
I think she's a really good actress too. She does a great job.
Mm-hmm. Oh. I'm pretty sure she was Robin Williams' Jack's mother.
Yep. I love this. Him just swimming with the whales and just chilling in the water. What's up, guys? And then we have the really cool, weird shot of the bird. And I like these insert shots, like the rain on the bucket, the laundry.
Yeah, shots like that set up the actual world around you. There's people living in this world as well.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to show an entire family and what's going on, like the Russian family.
Yeah.
To understand that there are people in this world living in this world, having their own lives. Oh, I'm not trying to compare. I'm just, kind of pointing out, like, you don't have to focus on like some people and what they're doing. I mean, he's walking around. There's, they're bringing in groceries. They have laundry. There's kids getting on or off the school bus. I mean, there's people living their lives in this world right around him. It feels real.
Can we just say that, like, he really did not need that coat?
No. I think it's just to help him hide. Can we just say that shot is a cornfield? And if you look, there's that bridge they're about to go to is nowhere in sight. And they're not traveling that fast to reach an area that we didn't see in that wide angle shot.
Yeah, that's true.
Just saying. I don't know why anymore. I've become really obsessed with the geography of movies. I love this shot. Like, right here. Into the water. Like, that's a stunt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was a practical crash. They drove a bus into a lake or into a river.
It was awesome to watch in the special feature. I like how he just decides, okay, like that's how it is. Like he makes his decision.
Oh, but Superman doesn't save people in the DCEU. So what do you mean he's gonna do? Like he saved some oil. He saved some guys on an oil rig, And
what?
And now he's pushing a bus out of the water.
You mean he saves people?
But
what?
Superman saves people.
I'm not a drinking man, but
no, he doesn't. Remember? That's what they say. He doesn't.
But I bet if you took a shot every time someone didn't get saved in this movie, you'd be passed out. What do you think, Junia? Yeah. See, there's Lana, who never gets a name, but that's who she is. And then he's like, "Where's Pete? Let me go get Pete, who was just making fun of me."
Calling me Dick Splash, whatever kind of insult that's supposed to be.
I think in a way it's kind of like, I would have liked a scene of like Pete and Clark, where Pete like basically apologizes and basically like, "Dude, I'll help keep your secret. I got your back." Like, and that just really helps more of their friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And the parents are just like blowing it out of proportion.
Yeah. I mean, as parents, Jonathan Kent and, Kevin Costner and Diane Lane, they did such a good job of, they're not mad at him for doing what he did. They're concerned about him, his secret, when he's ready to reveal his secret.
I mean, it's just like anything as a parent. You're in territory you don't know what to do to protect your child. He did something and you're proud of him for what they did, but you're scared because of what could happen to them. He doesn't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, just there, the maybe line, people blow that way out of proportion. Should he let them die? He didn't say, yeah, he didn't say maybe, yeah, you should let them die. He doesn't believe that he did the wrong thing with the maybe. It's just the concern over something else. It's not the concern over what he actually did.
Yeah. He's a parent who's scared. He doesn't know, for his son. He doesn't know what to do. He's scared for him just as much, And then we have the big, I like Kevin Costner's casting. I just feel like he didn't get enough scenes to really play the role that we've seen before. It was very...
Oh, sounds like somebody's up.
It's Solomon. Good night, buddy. Solomon's off to bed. So it's just you and me right now, buddy.
All right.
I'm kind of like, wouldn't it be kind of neat?
In this scene down here, they acted their butts off. I mean,
Oh yeah.
This kid, this kid, he made it believable that he is just completely shocked. He knows he's not, he always has known he's adopted, but, the fact that, like, he's not even human, how can he be his son? But the way that Kevin Costner says it, you are, that's
Exactly.
great. And I love that it comes out of Secret Origins.
Yes. And like I said, we wanted to make this our Father's Day episode because it really is about a son with his two fathers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it says right here, out there somewhere is another father who gave you another name.
Oh yeah, he's being respectful of his father. I mean, his father is still the man who brought him into this world and, sent him as a gift to Jonathan and Martha, They've always thought of him as a gift.
Wouldn't it have been kind of neat, jumping back, like they said they sent it to a scientist to examine. Would it have been kind of neat if, like, that had been, like, Emil Hamilton? Like, who was the one who first, like, encountered this unknown stuff, and that's really what kind of set Hamilton off into his way of being compared to what the Hamilton we get. I do love this scene. Like, this is probably one of my favorite Henry scenes in the entire film. The bar guy, when he goes to push him. You a tough guy? Nope.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite scenes in one of my favorite scenes that he gets to do some good acting, because he's kind of in the background a little bit in the early scenes with the flashbacks, and I love how he pushes him.
I wish
like he's trying to move a building. Right. But then he probably have broke his hand.
Exactly.
And there'd be some explaining to do.
I like how jerkish the Canadian soldiers are. They're just like, huh, like. I remember some people had a problem with this, like Superman would never do this. And can we take a quick side note? Superman 2. He goes back to the restaurant and like hustles and fights that guy after he spun back.
Mm-hmm.
So technically that guy would have no memory of ever messing with him as Clark.
Yeah.
That's kind of douchey. What is an editing oversight?
Oh no. See,
I
that's
didn't
the thing.
notice this.
That's the thing I don't get.
What?
Well, that's the one thing I don't get. Like Superman wouldn't do that. Like he wouldn't smash the guy's truck up. I mean, how many times has he like done something to somebody like that? Either left them someplace or took something of theirs, or, left them in a predicament where, the opposition has the upper hand. You know what I mean? Like he does kind of, have a little bit of a streak, but it's something that he doesn't do. It's something he always has control over. Always has control over himself and what's going on, but he has to release a little stress. He's a man, not a god.
Exactly. I didn't realize the first time I watched this that he was Joe. Like he helped Lois off the helicopter.
Oh no, I noticed it. So few things. Lots of Smallville people in Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Like uncanny amount if you actually notice all of them. One of the Canadian soldiers, the black guy, he was on Smallville.
Well,
the guy who introduced him as Joe and got Lois off of the helicopter and was walking with her and talking to her, he was on Smallville.
Amy Adams.
The guy here in the computer, Amy Adams was on Smallville. That guy on the computer there, that was Emil Hamilton from Smallville, the second Hamilton on Smallville. Not the first one. Joe Morton was the first one.
About to say, and even if you want to jump to Justice League, Joe Morton and the guy that Batman fights with on the rooftop was on Smallville.
Yeah, they both were too.
And we're going to get some more
one of
Smallville
the-
people as this movie goes on.
We will. And actually, the guy in the bar who pushed Henry Cavill, he was on Smallville.
Yes, he was. Wow. There's more than I thought.
Yeah. And then the soldier who actually gets to name him Superman was on Smallville. For the guy who actually gets to say Superman for the first time. He was on Smallville.
Well, might as well just throw him out. Woodburn, we meet later, was on Smallville. And then Jax played the failed Lex clone in like episode 1 or 2 of Smallville season 10.
Yep. And he actually played somebody else, but I can't pinpoint who he did. He was a recurring person. He played 2 parts on that, on Smallville. But yes, like this was a Smallville alum, like reunion of random extras.
Did you know that the actor that plays Adam Strange on Krypton was on Smallville?
Was he?
Yeah.
I think I heard that.
I listened to him talk about it. So here we have, jumping back to Man of Steel.
Yes.
Here we have the scene where Lois is tracking Clark down, and he uses his vision to melt the ice to get to the ship. Which is, I always thought was kind of cool. How circular it was, and just, I love the fact that they already established like his body temperature right here, where she's in a jacket, everyone else is in thick coats, and he is just wearing a shirt.
Yeah, I like how they tell her that she'll disappear and it gets 40 below at night, and then first thing she does is go out at night.
Yeah, she doesn't listen. I will say, Amy Adams is not my favorite Lois, but I like her in this movie. I feel with each movie, they give her less to do and she becomes more uncharacteristic. And I don't know, like just, there's things I don't really like that she does. But she's not my least favorite Lois, but she's not my favorite. Though I do like the fact that she's older than him.
Yeah. She's got a few years on him. The interesting thing though is, like she is Lois in this one. She definitely is. She was written correctly, acted, very well. And, so she was a really good Lois Lane in this one. And then when they move into Batman versus Superman, especially with the theatrical cut, the way that Clark especially, but then Superman was put into the background. I mean, the only reason for Lois at that point was to advance a little bit of story, but they even cut out so much of that in Batman versus Superman.
Should have been 2 movies. Just give us the whole 4-hour cut, whatever. Give us see, and like that was a shot real quick that Goyer wanted to make sure was in there of the open pod, because that was supposed to play out into something that never came to fruition. And Lois just got beat by an alien thing.
Yeah, that I mean, that flash might, be construed as aggression.
I love how he just destroys it with his hands.
Oh yeah, I love how he just smashes it.
Can we just?
And this Superman is what?
I was gonna say, like, this is just like if you had him above you, looking at you, saying it's all right, it's all right. You know, I'm pretty sure you'd be calm. You know, if it was some ugly dude,
yeah,
you'd be freaked out. But
you know,
you're like, yeah, I'll listen to you, dreamy man with a beard.
Now see, and that's one of the things too about this movie, how people say that he doesn't inspire trust and hope and you know, and in one of the first scenes he actually gets to interact with somebody who's not being an aggressor towards him. The first scene that gets to happen is with Lois, and just with a look, you know, she just calms down and relaxes and trusts him, you know, because it was sincere.
And I like, people said, okay, if she's hemorrhaging inside and he just cauterizes the outside, he has microvision along with heat vision. He can precisely aim his heat. You know, he could have healed her, layered and cauterized layers. People just want to criticize. I really think this movie is going to age well and become more appreciated as time goes on.
But the one thing that I do like about this Superman too is that he's not like right away, you know, it shows him holding an oil rig, you know, so he's obviously extremely powerful, extremely strong. But he doesn't know what he can do, you know. I'm sure he's pushed his limits of what he can do, but he's never had the idea of like, what is possible.
Yes.
You know? Okay. So as the movie goes, he does get stronger because he does believe he can do more and more things.
I like how this feels like a real office that they're in. We're now on the Daily Planet. We meet Perry White, and I still don't know how I feel about Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. Like, not that I'm against him as the actor, I think he's great. It's certain ways he portrays the character. I'm still not sure, because my problem is I spent so much time with Perry White from Lois and Clark, where he's very loving, fatherly, when in a lot of other ways Perry's very gruff, but not J. Jonah Jameson it. So
I don't know. I don't think quite Jameson it.
I like how
really,
Perry has
but
a soft spot for Lois, but kind of is gruff to everybody else, and kind of loving in his own way, but really has a spot for Lois.
Yeah, he, you know, Lawrence Fishburne's a great actor. I didn't have a problem with him at all.
Him? No.
You know,
he's great.
With him, or with him being the character, you know, I mean, perhaps if it was a different setting or something, give him more to do, but you have a lot to go through in just over 2 hours.
Yes.
He does an amazing job with what he's given.
Now we have Cal meeting Jor-El. And I like the way they decided to do the AI Jor-El. It's basically kind of like a hologram. Even though they never gonna do any kind of hologramish stuff with him. Like, you know, sometimes they'll have that scene where like it kind of like fades in and out, where the image does, where they're supposed to be like a hologram, or like there'll be color or pixelated or whatever. It's just straight up Russell Crowe hanging out there.
Yeah.
I will say I do like Russell Crowe as Jor-El. It wouldn't have been my first casting choice, but he does work. It
does work. I like the story that they told that Russell Crowe or Henry Cavill, I can't remember who now, it's, 5 years ago, where Cavill was an extra or something on.
Cavill was he attended the school where they filmed a part of A Beautiful Mind.
Oh, okay, that was it. And he interacted with Russell Crowe.
And, he asked Russell Crowe tips about being an actor and, and what all that meant. And yeah, I mean, I think it's crazy.
and then getting to actually act with him, especially since the character is dead, so getting to actually act with him and across from him, I mean, that would have had to have been a dream come true.
So, I mean, that is just, to me, like that, like you said, that is just.
And I love the way the story unfolds, the history of Krypton with the liquid metal holograms going around and, showing a physical version of the story. And
I love it because it's exposition, but it's exposition that makes sense because we're being told things the same way that Cal is learning for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
The Genesis Chamber, like all this stuff that we were quickly introduced to at the beginning, we are now learning, and we're learning it through, Jarrell's exposition to Cal. So it's natural. It's not forced. It's not like, oh my gosh, just exposition dump. You're in it with him. Because like you said, like it's very much Cal's story. Junia said it once best to me when she described this movie. She said that it's about Cal. Like it's not about Superman and it's not really about Clark as much as it's about Cal discovering where he is, who he is, and what path he wants to do as he kind of becomes more of Clark and Superman. Hey babe, I was just quoting you.
Oh yeah.
About how
he's talking stuff.
I knew it.
How in this movie you said it was more a story about Cal. I love everyone debates like, was the suit there? Did the ship make it? I've kind of always thought about the suit was there, but maybe the ship made the crest. And that kind of explains how he gets his other suits. Because we got that, really great cut scene from Justice League. He's on the ship again.
Yeah.
The ship, another one of them.
Well, with that scene in the future, I'm assuming that the ship maybe makes it for them, or possibly has multiples stored. Maybe they're one size fits all.
Yeah,
stretchy or shrink type.
There he stands with the most epic shot. I love that they use the imagery of just him to introduce Superman in the Arctic, because it goes back to that Arctic fortress, but also Krypton
Yeah, the that image of the door opening and him walking out in the suit is, it's just iconic. I mean, you see him in the suit for the first time and it's like that is amazing. Looks ripped off of the page.
Yes. I like the suit. What's crazy is I actually really like the color of the suit. It's just a lot darker in this film than it actually is in real life.
Yeah. In this scene out in the sunlight with the white and everything, this movie has no color, that's what they say. This movie has no color, but I distinctly see plenty of blue and red and yellow.
It definitely pops more in this scene.
Yes. I like how they said they wanted to make the costume feel a bit more alien. So it stands out. And it's really kind of about him wearing his heritage and his symbol and as being, an alien. I could not believe, the cape is CG so much, but it's so beautiful and it's so believable. There's shots in here where for sure the cape's CG, and there's shots in here where for sure that it's real. But most of the time you don't think about it, it just works.
Yeah. Yeah, that is pretty wild to think about. Most of the time when he was doing his thing, the cape was never there.
And I love the callback of when he first starts to fly, like he jumps, he bounds.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just say that he went from the Arctic to now the plains of Africa? Like, how fast is he moving? Like, this is one of my favorite scenes, like, period. Like, it feels so
And how fast
real.
does he continue to go? Because as it moves on, like, right here, he hits another gear. Like, he just keeps stepping it up more and more.
I love, like, I remember when they announced they were going to shoot this handheld, and I was like, huh. But I think it brings so much weight and believability shooting it handheld. I'm not a huge fan of some of the zoom shots where, like, it'll just kind of zoom in quick, but it just, I don't know, it brings some gravity. And I mean, for the most part, this film feels practical. I mean, like, the way they build these shots, like this, Lois, the stuff going around, the people she interacts with, real, practical.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like it's secluded and small. It seems open. Oh, Junia, you
right.
When we made the huge list of all the people in this movie who were in Smallville, there's a lot more than we thought when we originally started. But
oh yeah,
it's a lot.
That's funny.
In regards to the flight and the score, I mean, the flight song is just amazing. I really feel that song, that the theme for Superman in this movie, is the new theme for this Superman.
Yes.
I don't believe that this version needs John Williams. I think Hans Zimmer nailed it.
I will say he did nail it. And as you and I have discussed before, watching that 75 anniversary cartoon, it shows how those two musicals can be combined and make something. But yeah, I love the music for this. His theme. I wonder how early this scene was filmed in the graveyard.
The flight song is actually my ringtone, and at my bodybuilding competition, I used it as my posing routine song.
I'm proud of you.
I don't think I ever told you that one.
Nope. I'm proud of you. High five.
Got it. Phone 5.
Like Brian Stinson, like high five. All right.
Yep. Self 5.
So we're in the scene of them in the car. And Henry does a great job of being a D-bag right here.
And he also looks believable here.
Being young.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, if they filmed this early on. Because I remember some production photos that showed, them by the highway when they talk about filming a scene. If they filmed this, then they're like, all right, Henry, crank up the gym. Because I know that the scene of him coming out of the water after the rescue at the iron was one of the last things filmed for this.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to be the biggest and most jacked possible.
He looks huge.
Yeah, the interview with oh man, what's the guy from Jim Jones? I forget the trainer's name.
Oh, Mark Twight.
And he's talking about,
Is it Mark Twight or?
Yes,
Something
that's
like
it.
that?
Yeah. Or that's very close. Yeah, he was talking in an interview about Henry's training and having him peaked for an extended period of time for a number of shots there without his shirt on. And so that's a challenge to maintain, the peak condition for an extended period of time, more than a handful of days or a couple of weeks at most.
I agree.
Your body wants to revert back and gain a little more body fat and
I do want to say something real quick before I forget. Something I never thought about with this scene of the tornado, and I have to give credit where credit's due that this was discussed on Holy Batcast, was the part they said, why not have Clark run to get the dog? Why Jonathan gives the kid to Clark? Well, part of it was the idea that Jonathan wanted Clark to take Martha, to know that Clark could protect Martha better than he could. So if something were to happen, Martha would be safe. And that's something I never really thought too much about, because like this scene right here, like I always think of like in Smallville, how, Clark runs everywhere. So we knew he could have ran and got him. And I don't have a problem with the tornado. And like that scream right there from Henry is so believable. The man can scream.
Yeah. Yes, he proves that in this movie well.
But I think there's just little things in that scene that could have been done a little different that I would have liked better. But the idea was there, and I appreciate them. I get tired of people who don't know they're Superman, who just know the movie, and don't realize that after like the Superman movie that a lot of the things were then adopted into the comics. But even then, for a while, Jonathan Kent was alive in the comics. Like during the death of Superman, he was alive. So it's one thing, like, oh, he dies of a heart attack. Well, that happened in Superman the movie.
Yeah, that is an interpretation, and it was added to the character to give the character something that he couldn't fight against, something he had to learn that he couldn't fight against. And, the tornado scene, I have absolutely no problem with either, because, as the movie had progressed, it was maintaining his secret, waiting until he was ready to become who he's going to become. And I mean, perhaps that speech from Costner to teenage Clark later on, when he talks about whatever kind of man he becomes is going to change the world. I mean, he did believe in his son his whole life, and he didn't want him to do anything to jeopardize that until he was ready. And if he had to sacrifice himself for that, he was willing to.
Yes.
Yep. First Lexport shot. And so I do think that the scene carries a lot of weight with this version of the character. It's another interpretation.
Junia was a friend with somebody, I don't remember what her name was, but she said she was a big Batman fan. And Junia was like, oh, cool. Like, at the time, Junia was really reading the New 52 Catwoman books. Mm-hmm. And which I highly recommend the first 2 volumes. But anyways, her friend basically was a fan of Batman from the Dark Knight movies. And that's the problem is people see the movie and that's the imprint of the character completely that they get. So they don't know anything. I mean, the Adventures.
Well, once these things go.
I think in the Adventures of Superman, Jonathan Kent died. Superman the movie, he died. Lois and Clark, he's alive. The animated series, he was alive. Smallville, we got both versions. He was alive and he died. So, I mean, the characters had a history of That was me. Of being both alive and dead at different times. So don't hate on the Jonathan Kent people. They wanted to take him out in a different way. I mean, I wouldn't have minded seeing Superman / Clark right there fight the tornado. That'd been interesting.
That would tell a different story. You know what I mean? They had a purpose as to why they went this direction. You know? If you would have had him fight the tornado, it would have ended differently, you know? It wouldn't have given off the same point and perspective that it did in this interpretation.
I do think it's interesting that we then cut here and we get the general and everybody at the HQ. And now we're seeing Zod's ship. I kind of have it's kind of sad in a sense, like, Superman's the one who accidentally called Zod to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, had he not used the command key in the ship, you know, Zod wouldn't have found her. So, it's kind of sad, because it's kind of Superman's fault. But, and then there's Jenny, the unnamed person who's just Jenny. There's Lombard, who's in this movie and then disappears in the other. Now, real quick, while we're watching this part here, was it you, James, that I was talking to about him drinking beer? And you made the comment of, like, it could have just been something he learned from his dad. Like, after a hard day of work, you just kind of have a beer in the evening. I like this zoom right here, because it's like him using his visions.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like we're having some technical problems for James, people. But it's okay. Still got my voice and Junia's.
I'm here.
He's fighting the evil Kryptonians right now on his Earth.
This is so creepy to me, by the way. That Zod overtakes their TV. I mean, this is like straight out of a horror movie, in my opinion.
Yes. I remember the trailer, like, TV spot where it was this type of a scene, where it was just Zod coming on and talking. And I like the farmhouse, how everything feels old, like from a farmhouse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it doesn't feel like everything, because sometimes in shows, like, everything feels new. Did you hear, Junia, that Lawrence Fishburne might not return as Perry White if he's ever needed in these movies?
I did hear that, yeah.
And I guess I get it, you know? I mean, there's nothing planned for him to do right now. So why would he be waiting around to come back? I mean, they didn't bring him back for Justice League. Or did they? Leave it right there. I'm just like, okay.
I mean, that's his choice, whether or not he wants to come back for it. I mean, it's kind of a shame, because I really like him as Perry White. I think he does a great job. But it happens. He's got to make the decisions for his career. Part of me wishes that Amy didn't come back as Lois Lane. Sounds terrible.
Yeah.
You know me, though. She's not my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, she's she's okay. I mean, like I said, she's not my favorite, but she's not the worst.
She just doesn't show and it could be part of it, could be the writing, but she just doesn't show that fieriness that Lois Lane is supposed to have. I just don't get the character through her.
She does better in this film. I will say that she does. It's like each film, like James said in the next ones, that they just make kind of a plot point.
Yeah.
And then...
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yay!
We like hearing your voice.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah.
I kind of feel bad for Lois in the sense right here, where Woodburn kind of calls her out. Like, the planet's Lois Lane.
Yeah, it really sucks to be her.
Yeah, just to think she got away and then pointing guns at her. Automatic rifles.
What is this guy's name? I never remember.
Colonel Hardy?
Yeah.
I kind of wish if they had the foresight into this, he had been Steve Trevor or had been like Hank Henshaw.
I love him no matter what he does, though. He does such a good job.
I do too. It's just, he's a great character, and I hate that what happens to him in this film. And now we get school jocks. So there's kind of a Smallville reference right there.
Yep. Foreman.
Sullivan's, yep.
Whitney Foreman.
And
the Sullivan garage.
And the Fordman boy.
By the way, this kid is such a great young Henry Cavill.
Sprayberry. Dylan Sprayberry here.
He looks like him. He just does. It's great. Great casting.
And see,
yeah, I still think he should play I still think he should play Superboy in Titans.
Yes. Somebody put that online.
He's
I thought it was great. See, and there's Pete. Like, the one kind of thing that kind of shows, hey, maybe they're friends. Pete and Clark.
Yep.
Good old Pete.
You can see with just the fence post being crushed that he was frustrated, not just from what he says here. Like I don't have my Blu-ray remote, so I got a universal remote, and I forgot to turn on the subtitles, but I've seen this movie so much I don't need them.
That's like they have the subtitles on, but yeah, I'm right there with you. I can hear the music too. Okay, so we're at the church scene. Did you hear Henry Cavill talking about what story he would like to have adapted into a Superman movie for him?
I did not.
It's the Superman of tomorrow, or for tomorrow, and in it has the preacher character, and he plays an interesting role because some things happen to him, and I was like, if that was a choice that they made, it'd be kind of neat to just keep this actor, because it's the same actor who was the preacher in BVS.
That's cool.
And we have, I think, one of the images from that book on our coffee table right here.
You're right, we do. It's on one. It's either.
I did enjoy this scene. I did enjoy this scene here, though.
Yeah.
If he should step out at that point, like he's not sure what to do, and I think him going to a priest like that is I think it speaks to his life on earth,
Yes.
what talking to somebody who is going to be, who's supposed to be, you know, this impartial person, kind of like Confession, you know?
I couldn't agree with you more.
Him actually confessing what he is, who he is, and, you know, and still hoping to get help finding the answer.
I just want to say how much I love the believability of this scene of him standing there or flying in and just floating with the military already shooting. But they have no idea what he's capable of yet. And then they handcuff him and bring him in here with Lois. And I don't mind that she says, what's the S stand for? He says, it's not an S. You know, and then she's kind of like, well, it's an S. Well, in America, it's an S. I mean, it's an S in every culture and language. Super. Love this. He's in the other room. He's starting to show me what he can do.
The way I like the way that they vision there. I mean, they don't even show it, but they're, you know, he's not hiding anything from them besides exactly who he is.
Yes. I feel bad because I think James has got abducted on Zod shit. And he's trying to radio to us. I love this. The effortlessness of breaking away the handcuffs and everybody freaking out like, we broke the handcuffs.
These people crack me up.
Yeah, I thought that was great. That just like without any effort, exhale and they break.
I always think that's such an odd cut to him standing there, to him and Lois standing there.
Yeah, it is a little odd.
I do like their relationship in this one, though, just the different dynamic of the Lois and Clark relationship that we get in this film that we haven't got before.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with it. He's looking at her and she's like, man, he's dreamy. Don't know.
I think just about any woman who looks like Henry Cavill thinks that.
Yeah. We established that earlier.
Yeah.
That's part of what makes him a good Superman. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, but you can't have Joe Schmo as Superman. It just doesn't work.
No, you can't.
Just like Wonder Woman. You can't have, you know, Jane, just plain Jane, be Wonder Woman. It doesn't work.
I like how he's strong, but he's scared at the same time. Like, if you think about it, the Earth people are kind of against him. He doesn't know what these Zod people are about. He's really kind of standing on his own.
Yeah, but, like, he knows he's there for Earth.
Right. He knows that, but Earth doesn't know that. You know, they
Of course, I love this chick who plays Feora. She's another name we can't pronounce, right?
Yeah. I hate that she doesn't enunciate her last name, that it's Feora Ol. She says it so quickly, it almost sounds like she said Feora L. I love Hardy's got a small little character arc, how he's all like against Clark, Superman. And then he has his turn. Looking good, babe. Junia is sewing.
And watching.
She has to stay busy. She's a woman of many trades. Like right there, that's a real cape.
Yeah.
But it's so neat how you can't even tell the difference, though. You really can't.
You can't. I've just watched this movie enough that after each time you watch it, you look for different stuff.
The only indication that it's a real cape is it's actually just hanging there.
Right.
It's actually, when it's actually moving, it's not real.
Like, that's a real cape right there. Him handing Lois the command key. That's a real cape.
Yep, because he's standing there doing nothing.
See, like, the lighting right here for his suit looks great.
Yeah.
And then we have the Black Zero.
I noticed this. I noticed the muted colors in this, right off the get, but I never thought that it was this heinous thing that they did, that this movie was entirely washed out.
Yeah, I mean, the muted colors I got because they were trying to tone it down. Because, I mean, like we've said, and I've said, this movie so much was the antithesis of what had happened with Superman Returns. Like, everything, all the complaints that people had from Superman Returns was trying to be addressed in this film. Not enough action. The costume looks funny. Like, they try to do things methodically, but yet at the same time do something more. And, like, his costume looks great right here. What were you going to say, Drew?
Oh, I don't remember. Oh, I think I was going to go back and talk about his looks again because I feel like he's a really, really awesome combination of Christopher Reeves and our comic book Superman that we're so used to knowing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got the really cool mixture.
Here's our Zack Snyder dream sequence. See, I like this because I like seeing Zod with a cape. And sometimes you see Zod with a cape.
So is this like relaxed Zod? Is that what we're getting?
Yeah.
He wears the cape at home.
Yeah.
Like a robe.
Oh, yeah. He's like, crack a cold one with Zod.
Makes sense.
Right? Kryptonians like to chill out with their capes on.
See, I think this is just interesting. Like, they saw the destruction.
Right. Well, they knew it was coming too. I mean, that was Jor-El's warning, but to actually see it.
Now, I can't remember in the beginning, did they say that they didn't believe that it was coming?
No.
Wasn't that like...
Zod didn't like the way the ruling class was handling things.
Okay.
But he was going about it the wrong way.
Okay.
I think this is neat, like the spacesuit right here. Like, that just kind of answers the question, like, it reminds me of the spacesuit that Superman had in the animated series. Then there's the alien body, the outposts, which kind of interesting, like, where these outposts would be. Even a world engine. Yep, we said that for a reason. And I've said this before, I want to see a Superman live-action production where we have both Ursa and Faora. Why do we always have one or the other? Why can't we have two female characters? And I've said this multiple times. I understand, like, he wants Krypton back and to make a new Krypton, but is Earth just, like, the best planet to, like, turn into your own homeworld? Because if I showed up on a planet and I found out I had powers, I'd have to suffer a little bit. But in the end, I would have, superpowers. I'd be cool with that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to change the atmosphere and stuff.
Nope, I would be like, yeah, buddy. I'm like, I'll take being super powerful. See, I like this right here. Just Zod's cape flying, and then, Superman's in the black costume right here. Everyone talks about wanting to see him in the black suit. It's right here. In Man of Steel. Right there. That's the black suit. The black costume, right there.
Yep.
Now, one thing I've always had a problem with is I feel bad, like, with Zod. Every Zod is different. Like, there's never been a set, like, this is Zod's symbol. This is how Zod looks. He always looks different. It's kind of annoying how in comics, movies, everything always looks different. Zod's always different. See, I like the costume right here. It looks cool when he wakes up from his nightmare.
Yeah.
I mean, I like the fact that Zod says it haunts him that he killed Jor-El. See, I think the suit looks really cool in these close-ups where you can see more of like the chainmail-esque pattern on it. And it's something different, you know, for live action. It's not just the tights, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with some changes sometimes.
Well, you got to thank you got to thank the costume designer on the original Spider-Man, Sam Raimi Spider-Man, for designing textured costumes. So it wasn't just small spandex that these people were running around in and looking goofy. Because you can think even Christopher Reeve looked goofy in that costume, even though, you know, it's iconic.
Yeah, I know.
But to see somebody running around in blue tights with their red on the outside.
Exactly. And I didn't even think about it being Spider-Man, being the first, like, superhero with the textured costumes and not being just spandex.
Yep. There's another woman.
Oh, you're right. That is another one. Why couldn't there have been one line of dialogue that said Ursa?
Is she Ursa?
Look, Lois is smart. She recognizes that this goes in there.
She's supposed to be super smart, so glad she could recognize that.
Which is why it makes sense that she would be able to, that she would know Clark and Clark's secret, right away instead of playing that game. Cause how good is she at being an investigative reporter if the guy she sits across from the desk all day long, she doesn't recognize as the same guy flying her across the sky.
Right.
It's not like, cause he actually carries her multiple times. Like,
and I mean, I know that there's the one where, what comic run was it? Where they tried to really like explain everything in detail, where Clark's glasses were made with Kryptonian technology that actually gave off a hypnotic pulse, that when you looked at him, you perceived Clark looking different than when he didn't have them on, and you saw him just as to try to explain why nobody like put the two together. And I'm just like, okay, that's a little too much of like explanation.
I mean, that may work. Yeah, I mean, that may work for like, you know, the people in passing, like even the people he sees in passing on a daily basis in the building. But literally the woman he spends the entire day with every single day working with, I mean, even then, I think she may put it together unless like it's made her loopy, the Kryptonian glasses.
I love this as the atmosphere is changing and he just, the look on his face when he realizes he just rips that arm cuff off. I will say visually, the Battle of Smallville is my favorite scene in this movie because it is.
Oh yeah, this is definitely my favorite battle scene coming up in this movie.
It's completely shot outside. The lighting is different. It's just, it feels real. You know, it goes back to that. It feels real. It has weight. Everything. I mean, I hate to say this, but I do really like the Kryptonian look, but it does have a lot of Geiger influence, I feel like. it reminds me a little bit of like, Alien. And I guess that's what they were trying to go for. I'm just going to headcanon that was Ursa, just to make myself happy.
So that escape pod is damaged now.
And here comes Cal.
Yep.
There's a real
And
cake.
here comes awesome rescue sequence.
Strike that panel. All right, Dad. There's a CGI cape. I don't know. It kind of looks real, too.
That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. All right. So we'll have to say this is the one Jesus Christ analogy looking thing that I don't like. The other ones I'm kind of like, okay. Like the shot of him, with Jesus, he's praying the 33 years, but the falling out the back with your hand stretched out, like, yeah, that's just the one I'm like, it's a little much. But,
The thing that I think is interesting about that whole aspect of the Christianity that they've given him is he was more of a Moses type character, a baby sent off in the reeds. And then over the years, they've turned him into, Christ, the Messiah.
Yeah. I mean, he was supposed to be, like you said, he was inspired by Moses. And when you trace the history of the creators of the story, it makes sense. And then all of a sudden he became like the comic book Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't really know how.
I love that shot, though.
Oh,
yeah.
I
love that shot when the ship crashes and it explodes and he turns to protect her from the blast.
Yes. See, like right here. I have an obsession with cornfields, so I just love this shot of Superman in a cornfield. You can ask Junia. Like we live next to cornfields and I love it. When we drive by it, I'm like, man, that's a beautiful sea of corn. I don't know.
I said Smallville should be in Ohio.
Yes.
There are fields everywhere.
And I feel like that's another one of those things that's my headcanon. Like it wasn't Kansas until the man got a hold of it. Why does she yell corn? It's okay that, but no one's around to hear her. But then she's like, take me to the Kent house.
Yeah. And then even when she gets there, like the cop pulls up in the driveway, she gets out of the car and she's not more than 10 feet away from him. And she's Clark.
I know.
Calling him by name.
I like how Martha's trying and Feora's is holding her up. I do know that this was Michael Shannon's first day on set. This scene right here.
Oh, yeah.
I watched the behind the scenes and Snyder was talking about how, when he originally talked with Shannon, like that's CG, like her opening that thing was CG. Michael Shannon's in his mocap suit. Those stairs are green. And like, I love this shot right here, this whole scene is a perfect blend of CG and practical. Like, Clark right here with Zod through the corn right there, that was all CG. That's all on a green screen. But it's composited so well with like, I love that. You think you can threaten my mother. You don't mess with a dude's mom. And they take out the 7-Eleven. People, this is another one. People say crap about this. He's still learning his powers. And he just got angry because this dude attacked his mom. So he's lashing out, being more strong and powerful than he ever knew he could be, in a sense. But like, right, look how beautiful this looks. Like the colors of his cape.
People talk about that, like how many people died in that 7-Eleven. It's like, he hit one gas pump and the gas pump blew up and part of the thing caved down and there wasn't even a person there pumping gas. So like totally could have missed everybody inside. Sure, that person lost their car and that gas station got messed up, but it's not like the pump exploded the entire building and killed the clerk and any patrons inside.
Right.
Boom, he just got shot with the ship and he just gets up. I mean, has nobody ever watched a Godzilla movie or Power Rangers? I mean, you know when the Power Rangers get their Zords, people are not living. Okay? They don't always fight in abandoned warehouses. And I mean, let's jump back a year to the year before this, the Avengers, when they're going and buildings are getting crushed and everything by these giant, but everything's kind of played for fun and laughs. People are, supposedly getting injured, but nobody cares. Now we have the high noon westerns. This is one of my favorite shots. I know I'm like jumping sentences where he's walking. He's telling people to like get inside and his hands are clipped. He's telling them it's not safe, but like you get this shot from behind with his cape. What's coming up in the next part? Deadly force. That's what the Americans say. And you know what? Their only hope, right here. You see her fist, you see his hand, and then like the cape goes across it. When it comes back, he's got a clenched fist. And it's, they're ready for him, and he's like, okay, what am I going to do? He hears them.
What do you think? I mean, he's one, and I mean, he's being Superman. He's one guy. I mean, he doesn't even know his powers. You know what I mean? He learned to fly a handful of days ago. He's one guy standing up to, he knows an army of people just like him, and he's still standing up against him. I still don't get the complaints about him not being Superman. Sure, he's not like, he doesn't throw on the costume and he's the greatest hero of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, that takes time and a lot of learning and a lot of effort and mistakes. Like crashing into the IHOP.
I love this. It'd been kind of funny if he would have looked up and said, Pete, and he'd be like, Clark.
Yeah. But I think definitely the focus on Pete though and his reaction. I think Pete recognizes Clark.
Pete knows.
Mm-hmm.
Pete knows, and he has this unwritten thing that he respects Clark, and he doesn't say anything. See, I like the idea of he's powerful, but he doesn't know how to fight or use it.
Because he's never had to.
Exactly. The bank vault, the first image of him right there.
He's been literally suppressing every urge to fight ever since he, was little and in school.
And he's finally at a place where he can kind of let free. He doesn't know how to do it. Like he's like right here, boom. But he's
he's up against trained fighters. You know, that's the one thing. I love that he gets his butt kicked. It's believable.
Yeah, it's completely opposite of his father at the time too. You think, his father's probably preparing himself for the inevitability of, having a natural born child and having to send it off world and protect him and all this other stuff. But he grew up his entire life never being able to fight, never being able to cut loose.
Right. And now he can, and it's just, it's also, think about it. He's trying to protect others and protect as much as he can while stopping out of control people.
And then right here, note this right here. He uses his heat vision, and what does it do? It hurts them.
Yes.
It actually hurts them. So when later on, when people ask, why doesn't he cover Zod's eyes with his hands?
Yeah, I'm just glad he didn't cover Zod's eyes and then get his hand burned, and they try to make another Christ metaphor with the hole in the or something. Right here, boom. Saves a guy. Saves a guy.
Yep.
Right there. Straight up. Man, we should just
And he saves the guy and gets decked.
We should just restart this movie and keep track of how many people don't get saved by Superman. Like that guy in the helicopter.
Right. Yeah, he went splat on the street.
Once again, Superman's learning.
I like how she's like proof and they just keep shooting.
Yeah, and that right there, I mean, it's like blink and you miss it. Like she's in one spot, then she's in another, and then she's in another. Like in a matter of a second and a half, she drops an entire platoon of people with her bare hands. And then he gives no nothing because he's gonna keep firing. Bullets don't hurt her, but
It doesn't
fight till the end.
Yeah, like it doesn't hurt her or the armor, you know? Boom. Took out the train yard. And then he pulls out a knife. And then she pulls out a bigger knife. He's about ready to fight, too.
Because he is completely BA. He really is. He's a cool character.
Yes, he is.
I think he had reserved he was gonna die at that moment and was just completely stunned when
He's like, at least
when he got saved.
Feeling like I'm awesome. That's crazy. That train is flying.
Yeah.
Sears. I don't know why. it just is funny. Like, goodbye, Sears.
So, and you know, people even had a problem with the product placement in the movie, like having real world places like that. Like they weren't even there for that specific reason as product placement. You know, they wanted you to be able to feel like this is the same world. Like, you know, they really embraced the sci-fi elements and brought them into what they wanted to see as, you know, the real world. You could walk outside and down the street and you could see the 7-Eleven and the Sears.
Yeah, like I don't have a problem with product placement because if it helps the movie get made, okay. Like I see those I love that shot of his foot and the cape, the real cape. It's real. And then him right here.
Yeah.
And then like, you know, this is where Hardy makes his change. Like this man's not our enemy. He just survived a train wreck. What else are we gonna do? You know, like might as well be like he's not our enemy. But you know, it's not like Superman sitting there holding his Carl's Jr. burger / Hardee's while wearing a shirt that says "I shop at Sears" and drinking a big gulp as he's giving us a speech about loving America. You know, it's not shoved down our face.
Right. It's not like Wayne and Garth on Wayne's World. For every cut, he's got new product placement.
It's like people only do things and they get paid, man. It's crazy.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to watch that one now.
That's our next commentary. It has no weight for what we do, but we'll just do it.
You love Wayne's World, you love this.
I like how she's like, nice suit, son.
Yeah, I like the interactions with Diane Lane and Henry Cavill. Very believable as mother and son. You know, earlier her concern of talking about him when he was a baby, when his body was adapting to Earth's atmosphere, and it was, you know, he was weak as a baby because his body was adjusting.
Yeah.
You know, and here, you know, his concern for her that she may have been hurt, and, you know, her is still, even though he's Superman, he's still just her son.
Yes.
It's like in All-Star Superman, where she's like, you look sick. He's like, I'm Superman. She's like, I'm your mother.
Exactly. I actually forgot about that part. I need to reread that soon. We're gonna review that book and the movie here soon.
So we kind of finally get like an explanation of what the Codex is here, like in more detail.
There's the evil clone Lex.
Yeah. See, he didn't die. He just became Kryptonian.
Yes. I told you, the Red Sun ending. I love the fact that it has released the world engine. Like, that could sound like a stupid line, but somehow Michael Shannon saying it just sounds awesome. Like, it's like, okay, I believe you. I don't know what a world engine is, but I'm completely on board there, Michael.
Right. I love how the world engine and the ship have to work together, and where the world engine lands is the exact opposite of Metropolis on the planet. And that guy right there, that soldier, he was on Smallville.
The blonde soldier right there, Junia, on Smallville also.
Yeah?
Yep, right.
Who do you play?
I don't know.
Some random dude.
Hey, you know who was on Smallville that I didn't know? Evangeline Lilly. She played a reoccurring background character.
Evangeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. Zach Moore posted that on the Facebook page.
Yeah. She's
always hold on to Smallville.
And the Wasp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I didn't realize that. I was like, dang.
The guy that soldier plays is in an episode in season 8 where Clark goes undercover as
the
cop.
Police officer.
Yes, he was the good guy police officer.
Yes. As soon as you said that, it dawned on me. Man. All right, that's it. Smallville Marathon starting now. Junia, put on the coffee. See, I love...
You're going to need a lot of pots of coffee to finish that.
Yeah, start boiling like gallons. I love everybody just looking up. I'm like, okay. I love that shot right there of Zod, like, looking out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be fascinating, and then I would start running. I'd be fascinated for about 2 seconds, and then I'd probably be like, all right.
And then as soon as you see the beam from the ship, it's like, oh no.
Like, my butt's going home.
I love that shot
for
of the
however long
up
it's here.
On the world engine side, like the water goes up and then down.
Yeah. I like how it shows how it distorts gravity surrounding it, and that distortion continues to get larger and larger.
So here goes our CG fest starting here, but it still feels real for most of it, you know, like.
And honestly, that's the only reason I could see people having such a problem with it, is because it feels so real, because it looks so real.
Yes, the whole movie sets it up like that. So you have an issue with the more of the destruction and everything because it feels real, and you have weight to everything.
Right. But then you see, you know, right now, Zod and the ship is destroying the city a couple of blocks at a time. But Superman's not destroying any of the city.
Yeah. Zod is.
Yes.
And there's his name. 1 time. 2 times.
Right here.
Yep. Oh,
Superman. Yeah, that's what they're calling. I love how it's just dropped in there too, though. Like, they have the interruption, And it's like you go through almost the entire movie and nobody ever says Superman. And then it's just dropped in there. Superman is on his way. Who? Superman?
I kind of like the idea that the military named him more so than just being Lois Lane.
Yeah.
Carries more weight to it.
See, I like Hardy. Like, it's a viable plan. Like, he's on. Like, he knows. Like, all right, we're on board with this. We don't really have a lot of options. Let's do this. And Clark's like, I'll fly halfway around the world because I'm fast.
Yeah. And this here, you know, he's gonna be weaker near it, but it's not gonna stop him from trying. You know, I mean, totally Superman. And like they did say, you know, they were talking about it on the commentary for Holy Batcast about, you know, what are, first of all, you know, from our end here, it's Kryptonian tech. It's you know, it's an otherworldly material that is more durable than any force that can be generated on Earth.
Yes.
Like, there's nothing that the military could do to the world engine. So Superman, 1, he's the only one who can do anything to it. And 2, like they said on, you know, Holy Batcast, and you said, because he's fast, like, it would take an entire day nearly to fly onto the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
You know, that's to the other side of the planet. It's nearly an entire day's flight.
And of course, there's Lois right in the middle. She's like, I'm cool. I'm not military. I got nothing on, but I'm here because I'm Lois.
She needs the story.
Yes. I like Zod out here, like, you know.
I like this shot here where he's focusing his senses.
Sorry,
With his Sauron hand. He opens it and there's the
yeah.
the dust.
And the armor, you know, it's all CG, but it looks like it's battle scarred. I mean, it looks like it's real armor.
Okay, so
it looked like it was a real glove.
I've never thought of this part before. Zod leaves his ship there. Was there anybody with him? Like, is that the last we see of Zod's ship? Like, is it still out there chilling?
Huh.
Because I know he flies this ship. This is the ship he takes over right here. You know, which was Cal's kind of fortress ship because it's got the Genesis chamber in it. But what happens to his ship? Let's watch and see. You know, I like this kind of part with him versus the World Engine, and I kind of don't like this part because when, like, the World Engine opens up right here, it's cool, but to me, it's very Brainiac-like. Like, this is kind of how I picture Brainiac.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when this came out on Blu-ray, I bought it, and it was like the next night or that same night, I can't remember, we had to drive back to Ohio. So, like, I didn't get to watch it all. But I
Oh, that's sad. The first time. Yeah, that's sad. Bring it home for the first time. Don't even get to finish it. Of course.
I was like, sure, we're going to drive 8 hours. I'm going to put this. And that was at the time before. I didn't think I downloaded the digital copy yet. I don't remember.
See, now, that's the only thing I don't have. I don't have the digital copy. So Tanya at the time, she bought me the 2-disc special edition DVD when it had come out. And then a little while down the road, I had found it on Blu-ray, and it was a Blu-ray 3D pack. So I've got the 3D Blu-ray, which I don't have a 3D player or a 3D TV, so it's just chilling. But I have the 3D Blu-ray, I have the Blu-ray, I have the DVD that came with the Blu-ray, and I also have the DVD and the 2-disc DVD set.
Nice.
So I'm stocked on my copies of Man of Steel for now.
I like it. Yeah, we got a couple movies that we got from the Disney Movie Club. I think Avengers, Age of Ultron, and Thor 2, I think, are 3D with the Blu-ray. And I'm like, yep, don't got a 3D TV. Run, Lawrence Fishburne, run. Yeah, let's be smart and run to the side, not straight.
Right? I don't think you're going to outrun a 50-story building, but...
I mean, he tried. It didn't quite work.
Well, at least he was smart and got cleared from it. This interaction between Zod and Jor-El is really good. Especially Jor-El speaking from a point of, like, we're dead, even you right now. You just shouldn't be.
Yeah, we're both Ghost Zod. You just don't know it.
Yeah. Like what you're fighting for and what you're holding on to is no longer there. Like it doesn't exist anymore.
Man, that's like tough. Like I will harvest his corpse and rebuild Krypton on top of his bones. It's like, wow, Zod. Like, couldn't just like build Krypton, I don't know, on like Saturn or the moon or Titan,
Mm-hmm. So, and then, the funny thing that I didn't hear too often is that ship, it crashes in Metropolis, and then 2 years later in Batman vs. Superman and even in Justice League, it's still in the same place. But something you don't hear too often is like, and I'm sure I've heard it, but not too often, is the complaint of, well, why is it still there? Why didn't they move it? Like, the thing is larger than a submarine and made of alien material. Like, you really have no idea how, like, they can't chop it up.
Yeah.
And it's so big. How are they supposed to move it? There may not even be a contraption on Earth strong enough to even budge the thing.
Exactly. They just build around
like
it.
Superman would be the only one to take it someplace.
I just thought of something.
Which I thought that would be. I thought that would be how he gets his fortress. Is he takes the ship back to like the Arctic.
Yeah, I mean, possible. I love this shot, this scene of him standing there getting pushed on, and just the idea of like, I'm gonna give it all I got. This is me waking up and dealing with everybody's crap.
First time,
like right there, I'm Superman standing there, and there's everybody's crap just pounding on me. The world just pounding on me, telling me what to do, and I just gotta yell in its face and fly up at it. Right, Junia?
Yep, that's it. That is a depiction of you on a daily basis. Sure, honey.
You take a lot of crap from people.
So when I watched this the first time in the theater, I noticed the uncanny resemblance once or twice of Chris Reeve.
Yeah.
Did you notice that first time you watched it?
No, because I was just amazed and caught up in the scene and just watching how they were.
Right.
It was done. A lot of times when I watch movies for the first time, I'm just trying to take in everything, and I don't pay attention as much to little stuff because I want to absorb the main focus.
There's a lot in this movie,
right.
too.
Okay, there goes the road engine falling over. Man, I just thought of something, and now I forgot it. What was it I thought of? It was something Zod said. Dang it. Oh, what if back to the outpost, they talk about the outpost being cut off from Krypton, they failed. What if because they tried to terraform too harsh of environments And the only reason, like, Earth, because it is so much like Krypton, takes less resources to terraform, and it would have the best chance of surviving and creating a new Krypton. Like, they couldn't just terraform from any other planet. That's why it has to be Earth.
Right.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, I mean, that would make a limited number of planets across the cosmos that would be more compatible for terraforming. That only planets like Earth, or planets that can already support life, could be terraformed. Not just any random planet. Right?
Yep, they'll just go terraform Alpha Centauri. They got a Phantom Drive. They'll be all right.
Actually, you know what? Speaking of, another planet, things like that. You ever heard of a movie Pandorum?
Yeah.
Okay. You know the chick who plays Feora is in that movie, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I haven't seen it in years.
Things connecting, dots connecting.
Yep. I thought you were about to. It'd been fun if you were like, "Hey, the chick that plays Feora, she was in Smallville too." I'm like, "Why not?
Right?
Why not? Why not, Junia?"
It's like every extra in this movie was in Smallville.
I like that he said Krypton had its chance. Like, he had to pick Earth. Like, and then there goes the ship.
I like that he was hesitant about it, but ultimately, makes that choice, the choice that he already made, that Earth, when he surrendered himself to the people of Earth, I definitely, but he does have that second thought of not crashing the ship, because then, yeah, that does seem to end his race.
Oh, there went that guy. I do kind of feel bad that, like, they use Emil Hamilton, but he really is kind of just Emil Hamilton by name only and not really by character. He doesn't get to do much. And, there's no mention of Star Labs. There's, Colonel Hardy. It's like, where are you going to run to, bro?
He's like, nope, not standing there this time.
I mean, I once again, like, if we would have gotten a really good sequel to Man of Steel first, so, like, if he could open the Phantom Zone and, like, went into it to try to see if he could find, is Colonel Hardy still alive? Maybe he made it. Maybe Feora made it. They're all just hanging out in the Phantom Zone, We're not 100% sure. Why couldn't Lois got pushed in the Phantom Zone?
Oh my gosh.
Just playing, Junia. So, like, we see them.
See, the only thing that would make me think that Hamilton and Hardy are dead is because the plane crashes and explodes, and it's the impact of the ship's phantom drives colliding.
Him right there pushing the thing over and seeing her, he just takes off.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And then there he is, flying as hard as he can, trying to escape the Phantom Zone.
Yeah. See, that's kind of the thing that's interesting, though, is she seems to be falling, but everything around her, like the buildings are pulling, pieces of buildings are getting pulled off and into the wormhole, but she's falling.
I kind of wonder if maybe given enough time, she would have got sucked back into it. Because, like,
just a little inertia built up, and
he catches her just in time before, like, everything starts getting sucked up. So, like, if he hadn't caught her, she would have got sucked up. And then everything around you is destroyed, but let's kiss. It's cool. I mean, they don't know Zod's still there, though. I mean, I guess you got to have your little bit of victory.
Yeah.
So, celebrate.
I mean, I guess that could be awkward, but yeah, I mean, right?
Hey, boss.
Thank goodness we're alive.
Is Lois making out with with the Superman? So think about it, this is the only time that Perry White is in proximity to Superman that we see. Like, when we get to the BVS and stuff, Superman, you never see him interact with anyone else other than Lois, like on a personal scale. Like, he's always like up here, or like he's saving somebody.
Right.
So it kind of would be a little bit more believable that Clark and Superman are the same person, because nobody really gets to see what Superman looks like up close. Oh, there he is with ashes in his hand. No ring this time. This is where we get into our huge CGI.
Yes, the massive CGI slugfest.
I will say, from everything I've read and seen, like, this fight between him and Zod is kind of the fight and destruction that I would have liked to see Superman versus Doomsday.
Yes.
You know, kind of this mindless creature that fights, that doesn't think. You know, I could see him and Zod kind of just fighting here, or fighting in space and stuff. But, like, if you read the comic and the animated versions of Superman fighting Doomsday, it really is this huge attack inside.
Yeah, it's citywide battle.
Here we go. Superman
the
fighting Zod.
Yeah, you know what makes me wonder? Just a thought now is all the complaints about this movie, this end sequence. I mean, the last 20 minutes that just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
The heavy destruction and everything. You know, it makes me wonder if the Doomsday fight in Batman versus Superman didn't suffer from the fact that they had to try and reiterate over and over and over again that places were abandoned and there was nobody here. And I mean, sure, if they wouldn't have done that so many times, like perhaps the part where he takes Doomsday into space to try and take him away would have been like more impactful. Like he's trying to get him away from a populated area.
Exactly.
But the fact that over and over and over again, they had to keep saying that it wasn't.
I agree completely. Like they had to make.
So I think that probably, I think that would have made the battle a little. I think, you know, if they didn't have to constantly point out that fact and make sure that it was in a secluded area, you know, I think the battle would have probably been even bigger and more, you know, a lot more destruction like this.
Yes.
And there's the Lex tanker.
That's the one shot I don't like, is the Lex tanker, just because he like jumps between it, and I'm like, man, you could have just stopped that. Even if there was nobody in that parking garage, that's just, you know, a little bit of destruction you could have saved. And then right there, that sets it up right there. There's only one way this ends.
Yeah. Like the tanker thing. Yeah. Well, if he knew anything about the Phantom Zone at this point. The only thing that I think of with that tanker is when he kicks it towards him. I mean, it's obviously full tankers. I mean, if he would have tried to physically stop the tankers, they would have probably ruptured and spilled gas all over the place and caused, like, you know, some kind of massive widespread fire. I don't think he anticipated the explosion that came with it, because he did look kind of surprised as he looked back at it. But I think it was more or less, you know, don't get hit by this thing because it's going to rupture and send freaking thousands and thousands of gallons of fuel running down the street, catching fire, God knows where.
True. And then we have Zod flying now. I love that shot.
Which this flying shot is awesome.
And,
and there's your Injustice punches right there.
Yep. I love this.
And this is pretty cool too. How fast they go. Like, he even loses him by how fast they go.
Could you imagine being a contractor right now? You're watching this like, all right, about to get some jobs.
Gonna get paid.
Honey, you know that new swimming pool in the house you want? I bet we can afford it. We'll call up the guys, get the contracting going. Metropolis is going to need us. And, let's just throw in another franchise right here. The Transformers movies. How much did they tear up cities and blow up buildings? And you know what I'm saying?
Oh, gosh,
yeah. Right.
Nobody complains about the destruction of that because that doesn't feel real.
Yeah. It's just, I don't get I get the high standards that you want to hold Superman to. I mean, he's the OG, he's the Godfather, he is the gold standard. And people want to see that. But it's, he's not this infallible character. And, I enjoyed the fact that this is Superman Begins,
Yes.
He's only had this suit for a few days. This is his first time ever fighting in his life, and he saves the planet.
That's like, you can see in his face, he doesn't want to do it. And dude, he does it, and you're just like, and can you just say Lois got there really quick too? This is one thing I really like in this shot is him down on his knees, and he knows what he did, and he hates what he did, and like his face right here. He didn't want to do it.
No, and from his point of view, he knows at least partially what he's capable of, that there is no place and nothing on Earth that is going to be able to hold Zod. And if he doesn't do something to stop him, then, he's literally going to kill innocent people.
Exactly.
From his perspective, there is no other way at that point. And they just came out with an interview of Henry Cavill talking about it, and people said, I heard it before Henry Cavill came out talking in this new interview of why he did what he did, because he thought it was impossible, and he now, after doing what was necessary at the time, he wants to believe that there is always another way.
Yes.
And so that's why he becomes that person that Superman doesn't kill. He wants to make a possible way in an impossible situation.
I love that he falls into her arms, and like he's on his knees and falls into her, like just, he's in kind of a weakened state and he needs her.
I do think it was an odd.
Yeah, he's vulnerable at that time.
Yes.
From this emotional scene that we got with Zod to this scene right here with the drone, I just felt like it was a weird transition.
I almost feel like if the drone scene was like in reshoots or something, or extra. I understand this scene, but I don't like it. Like, I like this better. Like if they would have just transitioned straight into this.
Yeah.
Like the graveyard.
Right.
Because I mean, that line of dialogue, if we could have found another place for it, of him talking to Swanwick, like, well, I guess you'll just have to trust me. You know, like, I understand, but he's kind of hot, and, you know, that whole, it just, I don't know. You want to find out where I hang my cape. Like, it just, to me, feels.
Honestly, right. Honestly, I feel like you could have ended the movie either way. Like, you could have ended the movie with the welcome to the planet, or you could have ended the movie with, well, I'm just going to have to trust you.
Yeah.
Like, if you would have flip-flopped the two, you know, like, built all this up, and then, you know, just in the end, because, you know, you're just going to have to trust me. Or I'm just going to have to trust you. Now, honestly, I think either ending would have, cause it's kind of like two different endings. You know, there's kind of like the Superman ending with, I'm just going to have to trust you. And then there's the Clark ending here, you know, which is impactful because the entire movie, he doesn't know where he belongs. And, you know, in the very last scene of the movie, Lois is telling him, welcome to the planet, you know, so.
I love the way this whole thing.
It does. Yeah, it does put that exclamation point on the character, on his character at this point, you know, not knowing where he belonged all the way until the end of the movie.
I agree. And I mean, I joked with Junia before that I figured we'd see Clark Kent as at the end of the movie. Like, it really isn't a Clark, you know, Kent movie. And I like to kind of think, you know, Lois helped him get the job. Because it makes more sense, and then boom, title, Man of Steel.
What I do like about his Clark Kent there is the costuming. Like, he's still a farm boy.
Yeah.
He wears the flannel shirt with the tie and the blazer. You know, he's not dressed up in this nice suit. He's trying to look good, but he's still that farm boy.
Exactly. I totally forgot what I was going to say. I don't know.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. It's just me. No, what I was going to say is, you know, they use Man of Steel, and the idea was, you know, to separate it, to give it its own identity, but also it was about the man. It's about Clark the man becoming Superman. And just, you know, him having to have that, you know, strong strength in himself to become Superman, to step out, to do what he has to do. You know, it wasn't just a way to kind of, oh, well, they used The Dark Knight, let's use Man of Steel. I mean, at one point in time, I'm like 90% sure on this, the sequel to Superman Returned was tentatively titled Man of Steel. So that name had been, you know, was being considered for the next Superman film. And then they built more of this concept and everything with it. And this is what we get, you know? And I mean,
well,
I appreciate this movie, and I like it more and more as time goes on. I think it was ahead of its time. And it was, I think in a way it should have been more of a game changer, but it wasn't. And I think that's what some of these DC movies, I think in time they'll be more appreciated than what they are now.
Yeah.
Other than maybe Justice League. But that's another day.
Right. Well, you know, these, especially this one and Man of Steel and the BVS, you know, I mean, they pull from decades worth of stories. You know, and Zack Snyder has a way of putting the page on screen.
Oh yeah. Why else has he done? Let's see, 300, which was a graphic novel. Watchmen, graphic novel. Man of Steel, the BVS, sort of Justice League. Like, he knows the material, how to bring it to life. But let's go ahead and wrap up here and kind of cut it off. We've been talking for a while. This is already going to be probably like our longest podcast ever. But that's okay. That is okay.
It's Superman and it's the Man of Steel. So
yeah, and it's oh wow. So the credits are rolling, and it said M. It was a character in
Oh, I see that. I just saw that.
Wow. All right, yay us. High five again. Yeah, so 5 years, Man of Steel. And what's crazy to think about that, I say 5 years, no big deal. But I think back, Junia and I were married, and we saw this movie, and then we moved to North Carolina, and like the score for this was kind of always in the background, because my hype for this movie was still with me as we moved, so it was kind of part of me. But in those 5 years from this, and even thinking about it this way, Man of Steel came out in June. They announced the sequel the next month at Comic-Con would have Batman in it. And in August, they announced Ben Affleck's casting as Batman. And by the time BVS came out, we had moved back to Ohio, had our son. He was over a year old, and we were living in a house.
Mm-hmm.
All the changes that went through in life before that sequel came out. Like, that's just kind of like crazy.
It is.
Because you think, oh, the movie will be out in 2 years, or the sequel's coming out next year, But like how much our lives went through from the time this movie came out even to just now.
Tyler,
yeah.
I think
5 years and people. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say Tyler, I think, gauges his life based on movies. So.
How much happens in between each film?
Exactly. That's exactly it. So go ahead. Sorry.
No. 5 years and people are still debating things about this movie. The tornado scene, the destruction, the color, Henry Cavill, his performance, the flashbacks. People still discuss this whole movie 5 years later, and for some reason, like, it is so polarizing.
It is.
And it's crazy.
And there's.
What Marvel movie did we have? Thor, The Dark World.
And this blows that out of the water in grand fashion.
There's a lot that blows that out of the water. So I'm looking at the Entertainment Weekly review of Man of Steel, and it gave it a C.
It gave it a what?
It does letter grades, and it gave it a C.
A C, huh?
Yeah.
If that's not polarizing, I don't know what is, because it gives everybody one side of the line to stand on or the other. Are you higher than a C, or are you lower than a C?
I think it always comes back to, let's argue the Superman Returns versus Man of Steel. Like, that movie got like positive reviews on Rotten Tomatoes and stuff, but in a lot of ways it can be very boring. Like, it has some really great parts that I love and some scenes that I really enjoy. Then it has parts that's just...
It's dry.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any more final thoughts as we continue our final thoughts?
I love this movie. I'm going to continue watching it on a regular basis. And I am excited for, a Superman sequel sometime between 2019 and 2045.
Get that kingdom come.
Yes. That's what I said. Henry Cavill can be lifetime role of Superman. And, when he gets a little bit older in 15 years or so, he maybe has some gray hair or, he's starting to, actually look like he's aging, then we can have our Kingdom Come movie.
It's true. All right. Well, that is the Krypton Report's Man of Steel 5-year look back commentary track. We hope you've had fun watching it and enjoying us talking. So until next time, remember,
Look up in the sky.
Look up in the sky.
you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Krypton Report. You can also email us at kryptonreportpod@gmail.com. If you get a chance to go over to iTunes, please leave us a review to help us get better. If you're an Amazon shopper, just remember you can go to southgatemediagroup.com. There's a portal, log into Amazon, and you'll shop into your account just regular, but it also helps keep all the podcasts on and helps keep Southgate running. Remember, look up in the sky.